Yo, what is going on, guys? I have a special guest interview with Olivia Van Guyse. She is a PTBI student who has been crushing it in her business while also crushing it in school, too. She's getting her master's in physical therapy, and it has been a grind. But when I first got in contact with Olivia, I don't want to talk poorly on your business, but it was hanging by duct tape, I'll say. And the systems were kind of messy, and she just didn't understand how she could possibly scale beyond four clients and also maintain, sanity with school. But we worked together for the last couple of weeks. We've gotten her up to a scalable level to where she's making a really solid income. An income so impressive that she says she doesn't have to take out any loans to pay off her students. I don't know. You don't have to take out your loans to pay off student debt, correct?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And so I consider that a big success in this book. So what we're going to do is talk about her story going through school, also building a business as well. So Olivia, without further ado, I would love for you to, give yourself a little introduction, tell the people a little bit about yourself and give a background to your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, Olivia. I'm 24. I live in Wisconsin. I kind of got into personal training. I would say, yeah, a couple of years ago now. I got my bachelor's in kinesiology, exercise, and movement science from University of Wisconsin. And then I knew I wanted to go to physical therapy school and wanted a job like for a year in between. I was taking a gap year. And I didn't want to just be a PT tech. So I decided to, go the personal training route. And I worked at a local gym, working lots of hours, not making that much for the hours that I was putting in. I also got my nutrition coaching certification as well. And then, when that was kind of nearing the end, I had, a few clients who wanted to continue to work with me when I quit the gym to start school again. And I, just decided to program for them outside of there, realized that that was, a route that I wanted to take because it was a lot easier. I could do it on my own time and I could make some money while I was in school. So once I started my doctorate degree, I, started taking on a couple clients, just people that I knew. And then I realized that, I was up to about four clients and it was taking up absolutely all of my time, all of my free time. I barely had time to study anymore. And that's when Zakk got in contact with me. And I just wanted to be able to save more time and help more people because I knew that my training was good, my nutrition coaching was good, but I knew something was missing on the back end, on the business end, where I could definitely optimize it a lot more. And now here we are.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, this might be a silly question. It just kind of goes, it shows you how out of the academic world I'm in. Is master's and doctorate's degree, are they the same thing or are they different?
No, so those are different. Usually, master's degree is 2 years, and doctorate is like at least 3 years. So it's not like a doctor like an MD, but it's also not a PhD. It's a DPT, so doctorate in physical therapy. So
Okay,
8
awesome.
masters, but they bumped it up. So
Yeah, so I just didn't want to knock you and say master's if you're actually
very,
getting a doctor's degree because that's far more impressive.
very
Um,
good.
but cool. So there's so many questions that I have about your story because I think it's really cool that you're pursuing, your degree, going the traditional route, but also, dabbling with your own business and being an entrepreneur at the same time. So when you were going into school to get your kinesiology degree and bachelor's, what was your intention? Did you think about starting your own business? Did you want to become a physical therapy and what do they call, like, not a studio but a clinic? Is that what you call it, clinic?
Yeah, in a clinic, yeah.
So what was your goal? What was your intention with getting started with college?
Yeah, so my main goal was to, become a physical therapist, but then the more I kind of went through school, I kind of realized, and not to bash physical therapy, obviously, but I kind of realized how a lot of PTs burn out super quickly, like working in the clinics. They work with like four patients at one time, can barely help them, and a lot of them are kind of uneducated on like basically lifting and nutrition. I've learned that almost no PTs know about nutrition unless they've taken it upon themselves to learn about it. So I just knew, within my first year or two that I did want to do physical therapy, but kind of wanted to change the game a little bit and wanted to just, be different. So then as I went through college, I realized that I wanted to eventually open up my own clinic and just kind of combine it with like nutrition, but also have personal training, and say they, graduated from the physical therapy aspect, then they can move on to an exercise programming or any other type of personal training or nutrition coaching with that. So
I love that.
that's kind of the big goal right now. So that's why I'm still pursuing the physical therapy degree.
No, I think that's amazing. And I think it's really interesting. I've talked to a couple of physical therapists who have, gone that route and have gone into a clinic, and they say that their passion for health and fitness is almost like destroyed in the sense because all they work with is just broken people, and they don't get to work with the people who, transform and see results that change their lives. And, that it's like, it's a respectable career, but it's almost unfulfilling in the sense. Did you get any of that while you were going through school that kind of made you think, oh, starting my own business is definitely where I'm going to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to get into physical therapy school, you have to do a bunch of like shadowing hours, and there's actually more like different physical therapy settings that you think than you think. Like they're in hospitals, they're in like orthopedic outpatient is like what you normally think of.
Mm-hmm.
There's also like women's health and sports and all that stuff. And I remember I volunteered in a nursing home and an outpatient orthopedic clinic, a couple of those, and I just both of them, like the outpatient was like, cool when you got a patient who actually wanted to do better and be better. Otherwise, half the time, it's people who just have to go there for insurance purposes, and they barely show up. And then the nursing home was just depressing because
Mm.
no one really wanted to be there, and the nursing home was just not the best either. So I just knew, I was like, okay, I know I like the degree, I know I like the material, and I want to do PT, but just not these settings. I want to, I need to do my own thing and help
So
people who also want to be helped as well.
mhm, absolutely. I think that is a huge benefit to having your own business, is because you get to choose who you work with, and you get to choose the ideal clients that you get to work with. And so for the most part, everyone who you're working with wants to be there. They want to change, and they actually appreciate your knowledge and time invested into them, which is extremely fulfilling. Fast forward to in-person personal training, you now have a degree in bachelor, or you now have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology, which for most people, they're done there. They're like, hey, I'm ready to start my career. Let's go get a job at, as an in-person trainer. What was that experience like? Did you, was it better than you expected? Did you have like a bubble burst? Because that's, for most people, that's that's as far as they get, right? And so what does that look like?
Yeah. So this was like right in the time of COVID as well. So I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily. I was planning on like moving to LA and trying to, work at a gym there, but it just didn't work out. With COVID, I didn't know when gyms were going to open up. So I just found a gym in Wisconsin, where I'm from. And it was interesting because I learned a ton from the more experienced personal trainers. Um, Probably more from them than I honestly did in my bachelor's degree regarding exercise programming. And even with some nutrition stuff, like we went over nutrition a little bit, but we never went over how to like build a workout, or anything like that. So I feel like I learned a lot, but it was kind of a trade-off experience. It was like, okay, make less money, but learn a ton. And if that's like what you want to do and where you want to take it, then that's great. Or, get like, I could have gotten like some type of biology job or like work in a hospital and made a little bit more, but I knew it wasn't like working towards what I wanted to do. So I knew I had to kind of take that lower step financially in order to kind of build my own knowledge to get where I wanted to be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, when it came to starting your online coaching business, what was your approach? How did you get started on your own? And yeah, walk me through pretty much what you did to get your first few clients to the door. And also what was broken about that system, because now you're upwards to 10, 12, 15 clients at ease. So what was the difference between what you're doing before and what you're doing now that's made it so you can go from 4 clients to 15 clients without stress?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, obviously, working with you, you really helped me kind of like optimize my time. But in the beginning, I didn't have any type of a plan, because I didn't like sit down and say, okay, I'm going to start my own online coaching business. It started as like, I'm in person. And then I had a friend, who lived in Florida, who asked me to write her workouts. And then that turned into just like a couple people. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll make some money on the side. I'll start charging for this. And then I realized that, I had like a couple clients, some were friends, some were like friends of friends. So I was like, okay, I just want to pour in absolutely like everything I have, give them like all the knowledge. And I just realized that I was putting way too much time into like telling each individual the same thing. I guess that's basically what it was. Telling each person the same thing, spending a lot of time on that, versus now I've, like created videos that I just send to all my clients, because they all kind of have similar goals. Trying to think what else. So you probably know more than me, honestly, at this point.
No, you're good. I think so. I think this is a very important thing to stop and talk about. One of the big things that Olivia did was she created content that she can now leverage as assets. And this is how you create a scalable business. When you're first getting started as a personal trainer, you're going to want to spend a lot of one-on-one time with each of your clients, because, you kind of need to get feedback on your program and see how you can improve. But eventually what you're going to find is the position that Olivia found herself in, repeating the same conversation over and over and over again, and being on this hamster reel of kind of getting stuck and not knowing exactly how to scale. Whereas she turned that information into an asset, which is just a video that she can then leverage over and over again. That's allowed her to free up her time to handle more clients at the time. So I know there's a lot of things with sales too that you grew and learned and talked about. So what was your approach to sales doing it on your own? How did you think it was done? What was your process? And then what are the biggest things that you learned with how you do it now? What makes the biggest difference?
Yeah. So my sales process sucked before. I didn't have one. When I was in person, I would have to like sell. But I was like, oh, I was pretty good at it in person. And I was like, oh, I'm good at it. Like the people come to me, because we were like handed the people that we were selling to. And I was like, oh, I'm so good at this. Like, I'll be fine. And then I, was talking to Zakk, and I was like, yeah, I'm great. I'm great at sales. And then he's like, what's your process? And I was like, I don't know, people respond to my story and they DM me and ask me about training. And I'm like, sure, let's, let me DM you like all the information, and like never really get on a phone call with them. Maybe I will like, down the road, but it was usually like one phone call where I just told them all the information and just try to like sell them on the phone. And that worked when they were like coming to me when I wasn't even trying to sell coaching. But once I started to actually, try to reach out to people that weren't reaching out to me, that's when I found a lot more trouble than I thought I would kind of get into. I was just, picking up the phone, and again, like I said, it was a one call, and it just wasn't working the first couple times. And I was like, shoot, I thought I was good at this, and it's a little discouraging.
Awesome. And what have you learned now after building out a new sales process where you're more comfortable? Like, what do you think is the most important thing that you've learned that you would pass off to someone else who's just getting started?
I would say being patient is probably the biggest thing. If I got someone on the phone, I would be so excited and be like, I cannot lose them. I need to like book it now. But now I learned the two-step or two-call sales process where, one is just about like getting information and details. And then the next one is like the actual sales call. I also have a lot, a better framework where, from you, obviously, where I can, handle objections and just kind of check in and see how they're doing, like with the call, instead of like me blabbing the entire time and not really knowing how they're feeling about it.
Good. Well, how do you feel now that your business is, doing better than it's ever, and you're also in school, you're able to, afford to pay off your student debt without taking out any loans? What does that feel? How does that change your life? Not having to take out loans is freaking amazing. So like, what does
Yeah,
that feel like?
it's honestly crazy, because I had just been dreading the day that I had to take out a loan. I've just been using like the money that, I've had saved up. And now that I know that if I can like maintain this process and I know that it's sustainable for me, that I don't have to take out a loan ever possibly, it's so much more freeing. I can be a lot more relaxed, even if I get someone, like on the phone with the sales call and I don't think that they're a good fit for my program. I'm okay with like letting them go instead of breaking my back trying to coach someone who doesn't have, similar goals as like my other clients. So it's so freeing. And oh, another thing is I never knew that I'm not charging $1 billion, but I never knew that I could charge like what I'm charging. I didn't think I was worth that much. So that's also another thing that was like huge for me, just realizing that like people will pay this amount of money because it is worth it.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, my biggest belief is like you can get more out of your program. You can charge more if you just had a better sales process. Like for you, we didn't really do much to your business. All I did was be like, okay, we're raising your prices and we're building in the sales process. And that was pretty much it. So,
Yeah.
that's really exciting. And something that I really love that I wish other people understood is that even though business is volatile and sure, you might lose a client here, you might lose a client there, you know how to sign more clients. And so it's like money is not an issue at any given point in time because you can just go out and get another one. You can get another one, you get another one without having to stress, because now you have the skills to be able to generate income for yourself. And I think that's like one of the most life-changing skills that you could possibly have. So I want to wrap this up really quickly. What advice or what tips do you have anyone who is currently in school while also starting a business, while also, trying to get their, business off the ground? What words of advice would you pass off?
Yeah, I would say a big one would be confident in yourself and schedule out your time. Also, this is three of them, and block out what other people around you are doing. It doesn't make you better that you're starting a business while in school while your classmates aren't, but also just know that you might have to work an extra weeknight to in order to do this while everyone else is maybe studying or even going out. So just kind of having tunnel vision and just knowing that what you're doing is working, that it's for the betterment of yourself, and just be confident in yourself that you can do it, because you can. Because if you asked me like 3 years ago if I would be like in school and having more of a side business, I would be like, no way, I would never be able to do that, because I was always like, I don't have time. School is my life. But if you want to make it work, you'll make it work. I definitely have time to do both. You just have to make the time to do both.
That is actually really interesting. I'd love to talk about that for a second. Through our time working together, I've never once stopped to think about what your relationship is like with other students that you're also going to school with.
Yeah.
What's that work life school balance look like for you? Like how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so for me, it's a little easier because campus is about 30 minutes away from me. So I'm not like on campus living with other students. So I think that kind of helps to like separate myself a little bit from like, oh my gosh, like they're all studying, and I'm not tonight or something like that. But I don't know, I think being a little bit separated is helpful, but also in the back of my mind, I know that like, okay, I'm not taking out loans right now and I'm doing kind of like what I love, when yeah, they're studying, and they're working on a career that they are working on loving as well, but they're probably taking out loans, and I just know I wouldn't be satisfied doing what, not that I'm better, of course, like
Mhm.
I just wouldn't be satisfied with just studying, because I remember in undergrad, school was my life, and I did go out on the weekends and everything, but I just was studying all the time. Like if you have extra time, you'll fill it up with something, whether
Mhm.
that's studying or going out or working on your business.
Gotcha. I love that. So you kind of just stay focused on where you're headed, understanding that your situation is unique to you and accepting that and just being like, hey, I like this going on and they have their thing. So that's really
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm still friends with everyone. I don't like isolate myself or anything.
Mhm.
But it's just, I don't know, I just have goals. So when I have time scheduled for working on my business, I'm like, sorry, like I can't. I've got something to do, but I can't after, something like that.
I love it. I love it. Well, what's the plan once you graduate? I know you have a couple more months and then another semester, right?
Yeah, so I have one more semester of just classes, and then I have my first clinical in Denver actually. So that's another thing, is freedom to travel and work at the same time. So I'm doing Denver in the summer for a clinical. I'm actually planning on coming out to San Diego
Hey,
in the winter. I didn't tell you that one yet, but what was your question? I forgot.
next steps. What's next for you?
After graduation, yeah, good question. I want to know kind of what specialty of physical therapy that I want to focus on, and I'll learn that like in my clinicals. But the big goal is, find somewhere warmer that I want to live, maintain my business right now, and then once I graduate, I do want to scale my business and then somehow open up my own clinic and combine the two of them as well.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic vision. I'll be out here in San Diego too, so definitely hit me up when you're here. I'd love to,
Sure.
train, catch up, meet in person.
Yeah.
But awesome. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap up this interview. Where can people find you online? I know you got a TikTok too, so definitely plug yourself here.
I do. TikTok is my main guy, but I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is liv dot well well. Wait, no, it's not. Oh, it's livwell.vg. That's Instagram, and then TikTok is just livewellvg, no dot.
Awesome. Awesome. Olivia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Everybody
you.
listening, peace.
Yes.